In today's video, I'm going to show you how I start my seedlings to get them ready to go in the garden. Today, it is February the 12th, and so it's time to get my seedlings started. We still got a few, maybe 6 to 8 more weeks before it warms up enough to get most of the things in the garden. But we're gonna go ahead and start them as seedlings from seeds, plant them, and get them growing up, get a good root system established, and then we'll have transplants ready to go in the garden when the weather finally warms up enough to do it. So today, I'm gonna show you how I do my seed starts, and maybe this is something that can help you. If we're gonna start our own seeds, we're gonna need a few things. First, we're gonna need a seed tray. They come in all different kinds, but basically what it is it's a little seed tray. It's kind of a flimsy plastic, very small individual compartments. That's going to allow you to grow a lot of different seeds. You can put that in a bottom tray. I'm using a bottom tray because, well, I'm growing inside and I need something to catch the water, right? I don't want water draining out of these holes in the bottom of that and going all over my floor. So I'll put these seed trays inside that bottom tray and it will catch the water. Now inside here, you can see we've got 4 separate inserts in this tray. And these things are not expensive, right? You can get them for less than $5 usually. Next thing you're going to need is you're going to need some seed starting mix. Okay? I'm going to leave you a link in the description where you can order on Amazon some of this seed starting mix that I'm using. Now, you might be tempted to go outside and get some of that potting soil that you've got, but don't do it. You want to use seed starting mix. This is very loose and it's perfect for starting seeds, and it's been treated with heat and stuff so that it doesn't have any kind of weeds or anything like that in it. You don't want anything competing with your seedlings. So this is perfect for starting seedlings. And you want to get seed starting mix. Don't just use regular dirt like you get in your garden. Okay, these things are going to be very tender and they're going to need some babying to get started. So we're going to use seed starting mix. And then you're also going to want a heat mat. This is not absolutely necessary, but it's a great tool to have because seeds need to, not just for the air to be warm, but the soil may need to be a certain temperature. And that soil is not going to get to that optimal temperature all by itself in your home, unless you're heating your home up, to 90 degrees, which we keep ours around 70 degrees, 65 to 70 degrees. So what this heat mat does is you're going to lay that tray right on top of that heat mat, and that's going to heat the soil up to the perfect temperature for those seeds to germinate. Now, you say, well, how does it know what temperature? Great question. Along with that heat mat, you get a thermostat. And this thermostat, you can actually set to the exact temperature that you want it to be at. If you want the soil to be 80 degrees, you set this to 80 degrees. And then this heat mat has a little probe, and you stick that probe right down into the soil, and it tells the thermostat what temperature it is, and then it's going to regulate it so it stays right at that temperature. Okay, so what you do is you take your heat mat, you plug it into your thermostat, then you take your thermostat, you plug it into the wall, and you take your probe and you put it in to your soil. So that's how that's all going to work. And then, of course, the last ingredient here is your seeds. So we have all different kinds of seeds here. Got some orange crush, watermelon. We got some beans. We got a free packet of basil blue spice that came from Baker Creek. If you didn't see my video from last week, I encourage you to go back, and I'll post a link for that as well. You can go back, and if you're wondering where do you get all of these different seeds? Where are the best places to get them? Well, I made a whole video about that. The 5 places that I use to get seeds that could be helpful for you too. And these actually are some seeds that I saved from my harvest last year. And so these are right here, and all of this stuff is ready to get going. I'm not going to plant the beans because they're not ready, not time for them yet, but I've got some other things. But first, let's get some soil into our seed trays. Now, if you were doing this outside, you wouldn't necessarily need to use these bottom trays. If you were doing this outside on your balcony, or if you had a greenhouse, it might be better for the water to just be able to drain out. But since I'm doing this inside, I don't have a greenhouse, and it's too cold to start seeds outside right now. So I'm using a bottom tray. And also, since I'm inside, I want to try to be careful because I don't want my wife to be mad at me for making a huge mess in our guest bedroom. But so I'm just going to kind of gently fill these trays up and try not to make a huge mess and get myself in all kinds of trouble. Because this is so fluffy, what I like to do is just kind of pack it down in there like that. All right, so I'm just gonna squish it in there like that. And then we'll go back and we'll put some more dirt on top. Y'all pray for my wife, she is a saint. By the way, she will be growing some seed starts as well. So she's going to be, she concentrates on the flowers, and I concentrate on the vegetables in the garden. So hoping that actually we're going to do some trial tests for Baker Creek on some of their seeds, and we're going to look at some of the flowers that they offer. They have all kinds of cool and interesting things. And so we're going to do some trials for them. Super excited about that. Doing that with my wife. I encourage you to watch the video that I made about 5 places that you can get seeds, that I've gotten seeds. But I want to say this right here. If you're going to go through all of this work, to plant these seeds and to care for them and to spend 2 months getting them ready to go in the ground. You can start with cheap seeds. But you know what the old saying is, you usually get what you pay for. And the 2 seed companies that I have found that work best for me are Haas Tools and Baker Creek Seeds. Now, the seeds at these seed companies may be a little bit more expensive than what you could get at Dollar General or at Lowe's, but you're starting with good seeds. If you start with cheap seeds, how awful would it be? What a waste of time it would be if you plant, 100 seeds from some cheap Dollar General store packet of seeds that you got for 99 cents. But then they don't ever come up, or only 25% of them come up, or 50% of them come up, and they don't make really good, strong plants. My thinking is, if I'm going to invest this much time into it, we're only talking a difference of about, this packet of seeds cost me I think it was $4. So why not, if I'm gonna, if we're talking about $4 as opposed to 99 cents. So we're only talking about $3. You're gonna save $3, but you're gonna, waste your time, waste 8 weeks of your time on some seeds that aren't very good. That doesn't make any sense to me. So for me, myself, I'm going to start with good seeds. And Hoss Tools and Baker Creek are two of the best companies that I've ever seen. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to look on the back of the package, and it's going to tell us how deep, to plant those seeds. Planting depth is 1/4 of an inch. So we're going to concentrate on about 1/4 of an inch. What I used to do is get a pencil and kind of measure how deep was a 1/4 of an inch, and then I could punch a hole down in that dirt and make it 1/4 of an inch. But now I just kind of know about how deep that is. So I'm just going to make me, let's see, we got 10 seeds in here. So we're just going to make these 1/4 of an inch like that. Then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to put those in there at 1/4 of an inch. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, see, this is the kind of thing you get from Hoss Tools. This package says 10 seeds, but they actually gave me 15 seeds. They gave me 5 extra seeds for free. So I'm going to put a couple of these extra ones. I'm going to double plant just in case the germination isn't 100%. Now, once we do that, we're just going to cover those puppies up. Now, with seed starting, in my opinion, this is not a place where you want to be cheap and try to save some money. Go out, there's all kinds of ways you could think about. You could be cheap and save money and get some dirt out of the ground outside and put it in there and save you some money. You won't have to buy none of that seed starting mix. We're talking about $4 or $5 for some seed starting mix, right? So you go on the cheap and you waste your time for just in order to save $4. Why not start with the very best? That's my philosophy. Save money in other places. Don't go cheap when you're trying to start seeds. That's just my opinion. Now, another thing you're going to want to do as you plant these things, you're going to want to keep up with what you planted, right? Last thing in the world you want to do is get it confused. And you think, oh, I'll remember what it is. Trust me, it is so easy to get these things mixed up. So you're going to want to do something to keep track of it. Some kind of a label. And I've used popsicle sticks. You can get these online as well. Super cheap, or you can get them at a Hobby Lobby or whatever. Or you can just eat a bunch of popsicles and save up all your popsicle sticks. You can also use, I find that paint stirrers or just larger people, these are some actual handles that I had left over from a project I did where we were making those old-fashioned funeral fans, and I had some left over. So something larger like this, I find, works better. It's kind of hard to write the name of what you're doing with a Sharpie on a little small stick like that. So I like to use something bigger like this. So these are going to be my Lemon Boy tomatoes. So we're just going to stick those right like that. And that tells me everything from this row and this row. is Lemon Boy tomatoes. Then we'll come back in and we'll put another one in there. I want to show you another thing Hoss Tools started doing with some of their products. They started putting in their own little plant markers inside the seeds. And I think I really like that. What do you think? You think you'd like that? So now we've got Cherokee Purple tomatoes. Grew those last year and we really liked them, so I'm going to grow them again this year. It's a nice heirloom variety, indeterminate. Then we have Sweet Cherry tomatoes. My wife wants some cherry tomatoes, so we're going to try that this year. Invincible tomatoes, Red Snapper, Roadster tomato, Lemon Boy tomatoes. 6 varieties of tomatoes that we're growing this year. So we just take this seed tray and we're going to slide it right up here on that mat. See, it's just the right size for 1 seed tray. The optimal temperature to germinate tomato seeds is between 65 and 85 degrees. So I'm going to set my thermostat for 75 degrees. And we can go up and down just like this, see? And we're going to set it right on 75 degrees. That should be optimal for these tomatoes. And we will click that to set it. And that's going to warm those up. And we'll be good to go. And we'll check back in. Now, one thing we got to do before we let this go, we need to water these in. So let's get some water on them. And then we'll let them go. You're going to want to keep that soil damp until the seedlings pop up through the soil. It's going to take anywhere from 2 or 3 to a week even for those seedlings to pop through. We're just going to keep this. We don't want the soil to be soaking wet, but we want to keep that soil good and damp until they pop through. And we're going to keep that also on the germination mat until it pops through. Once they sprout, we don't need the germination mat anymore. The heat is just to get the seeds started, and then once they start, we want to get them off of the heat, and we want to get them under lights. While the seedlings are still under the soil, we don't need any light on it. It doesn't do any good to put light on them because there's no leaves to absorb the light. The light does not do anything to help the seedlings pop out. You need heat to get the seeds to germinate. Once they sprout through the soil, then you need to immediately get them under light so that they don't get leggy. You want to get that light right there on them, good and strong, from the very time that they pop out of the soil. I'll put my thermometer in here just to get a bead on what the temperature is. And you notice that bottom number in this room, right in this direct sun, It's actually 89 degrees in here, even though we keep our thermostat set on about 70 degrees. So it's a warm room in our house, right here in the sun especially. But this little ThermoPro thermometer is an excellent little tool to have. See, it tells me that it was 32 degrees outside, 77% humidity. Here in this window inside, it's 89 degrees with 25% humidity. So, and click that little button, it tells me the maximum temperature outside of the last 24 hours was 41 degrees. Minimum temperature got all the way down to 18.9 degrees inside. We've had a really cold winter this year, much colder than last year. And the winner for the first seedlings to germinate and pop through are the early brown Dutch cabbage. So we can see these little seedlings are popping through, which is pretty cool. I planted them on Sunday and it is currently Wednesday morning, and these just little tiny seedlings are coming through the soil. So we need to go ahead and get some light on these, and otherwise they'll start stretching up trying to find the light, and they'll get really long in the stem, which is called leggy, and we don't want that. We want them to be nice and short and stubby and sturdy. We want them to grow balanced. So we need to get some light on this so that they can stay healthy. So now we've got our lights, our grow light on our tray, and you'll notice how close that light is to the tray, and that's to give that as much light as possible so those seedlings can grow and not become leggy. This is just a light that I got from Lowe's last year. It's the first grow light I'd ever bought. It worked just fine, but it's not really that big. It can only cover like one tray. So I'm thinking I might get another one, maybe get a 4-foot long. But I need to also come up with a better way to hold these lights over the tray. Right now, I'm currently using a microphone stand, a boom microphone stand, just because, you know, my motto is use what you have. And that's what I had on hand that would do the job. But you'll notice how it doesn't really hold it that well. See, it's not level. It kind of gets out here toward the end and it starts to sink down. So I'm going to build a little rack to hold it out of some scrap wood I've got. I think I could do something better than that. But anyway, as soon as your seedlings sprout, you want to get them under light. The tomatoes have popped through today as well, so we can see some of them coming up, and that's awesome. So we're going to need to get some lights on these as well. So we planted these seeds on Sunday, and as I'm videoing this, it is Thursday morning, and we have the Invincible tomatoes popping through and also the sweet cherry tomatoes popping through. So that's the number of days. Let's see, Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 4 or 5 days on the tomatoes to pop through. We take care of our seedlings. They're going to grow up. We're going to nurture them. They're going to grow good and strong, and they're going to be ready to be put in our garden in 6 to 8 weeks. And they'll continue to grow there and produce a wonderful harvest of fruits and vegetables that will be delicious and will nourish our family. Well, in God's holy word, the Bible, in James chapter 3, verse 18, it says, "Those who are peacemakers will plant seeds of peace and reap a harvest of righteousness." You know, when we look around at our world, there's no shortage of people who are sowing seeds of discontent, of distress, of negativity, of anger and confusion. We don't need any more of those kinds of seeds. We need to pull out those weeds, and we need to be planting seeds of peace. And when we do, here's the thing, it will make the world a better place. When we're planting seeds of love and seeds of peace and seeds of hope, it's going to make the world so much better of a place. But we'll also reap a harvest of righteousness. If you want the world to be a better place, if you want your life to be a better place, then that's what you need to do. You need to get out there and be the person who sows love and peace and hope and positivity. So I encourage you to get out there, plant those seeds, and grow and be fruitful. God bless you, my friends.